The perfectionist. You know exactly who you are. You've got the idea. You've got the goal. But instead of starting, you're planning everything. You spend hours sharpening your timetable, organizing every step, trying to make it perfect. Then something feels off. So you start adjusting. You tweak things. You rearrange. You rethink the entire plan. And when it still doesn't feel right, you restart. Again and again. But here's what's really happening. You're never beginning. Not because you're lazy, not because you don't care, but because the moment you actually start, it won't be perfect anymore. And that's what you're avoiding. So you stay stuck in this loop, planning, adjusting, restarting, telling yourself you're making progress when in reality, you're just staying safe. This is the perfectionist. And the worst part, this isn't the only way you're holding yourself back. The overthinker. These type of people don't avoid the task because they don't care. They avoid it because their mind won't stop. They sit down to start a task and then instantly the questions begin. What if this doesn't work? What if I choose the wrong way? What if I waste my time? And it leads nowhere. All they do is think. They're always analyzing every option, every path, every possible outcome. And the more they think, the harder it gets to get the task done. I am saying this because now there isn't just one way to start. There are 10, and every single one feels risky. So instead of choosing wrong, they choose nothing. These type of people don't fear outcomes because they're weak. They fear outcomes because their mind has already played out every way it could fail. So they stay stuck. They keep thinking instead of doing. And even though it feels like progress, they still haven't even started. This is the overthinker. And while they're stuck in their head, the next type, they're stuck in something else entirely. The dopamine addict. These type of people open the task, convinced that they would work, and then after 2 minutes they pick up their phone, just to check something. Somehow their fingers land on Instagram, and then they start scrolling. One reel, then another, without even realizing they have scrolled through 100 reels and hours have passed, and the work still waiting. These type of people don't delay because they're confused. They delay because they choose what feels good right now. Scrolling is easy. It gives instant pleasure and rewards. Work is not, and work feels like pressure with no rewards. Scrolling is quick, work is slow. So when it's instant dopamine versus hard work, they without any hesitation pick the instant dopamine, which is anything apart from hard work, every time, not because they decided to quit, but because it feels better in the moment. So they keep going back to the phone. Minutes pass, then hours, and by the time they stop, nothing is done. The task is still there, untouched. This is the dopamine addict, and the next type, they just keep preparing instead of doing. The planner. These type of people have everything set up. The perfect notebook, the color-coded to-do lists, the morning routine mapped out in detail. They've done the research, watched the productivity videos, built the system, planned the week, and then the week passes. Nothing got built, nothing got launched, nothing got done. This type feels so dangerous because what they are doing doesn't look like procrastination to them. To them, it looks like they are organized. It looks smart. It looks like discipline. These type of people feel busy. They feel productive because preparation feels like action. Planning feels like progress, but it's actually not. But here is the reality. They are not working. They are just preparing to work forever. No execution, just endless setup, just more lists, more research, more planning, until months pass and nothing actually changes. These type of people don't fail loudly. They just never actually start. The sprinter. These type of people have had the assignment for 2 weeks. Out of that for 13 days. Nothing. They're relaxed. telling themselves they'll start later. Then suddenly there's barely any time left. The project that had 2 weeks has now become a full deadline panic. The laptop opens, the focus somehow appears. Everything they avoided for days somehow gets done in a few hours. These type of people call it last-minute survival. They say they work better under pressure. And honestly, maybe they do. Because the focus was always there. The ability was always there. Pressure just forced them to finally use it. They prove that they can do the work every single time. They just wait until they have no other choice. And honestly, the perfect example of this type are students who study one day before the exam and still somehow get decent marks. The escapist. This is the most common type and perhaps the most broken one. These type of people aren't scrolling. They aren't planning. They're somewhere else entirely, inside their own head. They imagine their future. They imagine the version of themselves that made it, the life that's coming, the success that's almost here. They can see it so clearly that it already feels real. But the problem is, they've been imagining that same future for months, maybe years. These type of people spend more time imagining the future than building it. They imagine becoming successful, changing their life, finally becoming the person they always wanted to be. And after a while, thinking about success starts to feel better than actually working for it. So instead of building the future, they stay inside the idea of it. This is the escapist, and honestly, this type of person could probably be an entire video on its own. So, let me know in the comments.